Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Golden 20s podcast. My name is Tegan, and I am doing another little solo episode this week. And I'm very excited because I'm going to be talking all about the concept of a dopamine menu, which if you've spent any time on TikTok, I'm sure you've heard all about it. This is the new hip mental health phrase that's going around a lot, and I'm just seeing it all over my socials. So I thought it would be interesting to sort of talk about what a dopamine menu is and maybe talk about some of the things that are on my dopamine menu so that you can start journaling and think of your own. But before we dive into that, I'm going to do a little solo connection card. So this question says, greed, anger, jealousy, or hate, which emotion is most present in your life? I think of these, maybe greed. I don't really feel like any of these are super present right now. Greed is the one that comes to mind just because I feel like that's easy to continue wanting to get more things, you know what I mean? Always striving for more. Obviously, if you listen to this podcast, you know that Sadie and I are aligned in that. So I think I'm going to stick with that. Okay, but let's dive into the main topic, which is the dopamine menu. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, dopamine menu is a list of pleasurable, healthy, that's the important part, healthy activities that you can choose to do when you want a hit of dopamine. And this started as a way to sort of battle burnout if you suffer from ADHD. And the idea is obviously using social media is a way to get a quick hit of dopamine, but it can also make you feel not good if you spend all of your free time doom scrolling, searching for that next hit of dopamine. So the idea is coming up with this dopamine menu, and these are different ways that you can get that hit without wasting your entire day doom scrolling on social media. Obviously, you can understand why this is such a popular concept right now. It's so easy to spend all of your time on social media. This is something we've talked about a lot. So that's sort of the concept behind the dopamine menu. And it's supposed to help people who have ADHD, try to prevent burnout. These are ways to fill your cup as well. So in doing some research about dopamine menus, I've discovered that they are kind of built in different categories to resemble an actual menu at a restaurant, which is very cool. And this was not something I realized seeing it all over TikTok. What I see there is just people listing things they like, which isn't really the idea behind it. So there are different sections of a dopamine menu when you're building your own. So the first is appetizers. And these are quick activities. They don't really suck you in. It's not a big time sink. Super, super quick, but will give you that quick burst of dopamine. In my mind, these are things that can be done while I'm on the clock working, and I won't be fired for doing them. So some examples of things that I'm going to put on my dopamine menu in the appetizer category are to make a cup of tea. I love this because one, it brings me away from my desk. Two, it helps me stay hydrated, can be super cozy. And it's just a nice act. I have a physical kettle that I put on the stove, and it heats up and makes a noise. You're getting all of the, the sensations. If you get a notification on your phone, it's you hear the ding, you feel the vibration. It's very much the same where it's I hear my kettle go off, it's warm in the cup, and I can bring it back to my desk and work. Super quick, not that complicated, but love that. There are so many different flavors of tea. It could be for morning, night, all that good stuff. Kind of similarly, I love lighting a candle. This, again, takes no time at all, but I like being able to think about okay, what scent do I want to be burning? I burn it right on my desk, can continue working, but it just gives me that quick hit. Another thing is cuddling a pet. I have 2 cats, and I know Sadie and I have talked about this before. Every once in a while, you're just like, okay, I need to get away from my desk and I need to go cuddle a cat right now. So I love that as well. Definitely one of the big pros of having a pet is having the like on-demand cuddles whenever you want. This could be like going and getting a hug from your partner or your roommate as well, but I hug my cats throughout the workday way more than my husband. Another appetizer you can have on your menu is making and eating a snack. Again, anything that kind of gets you away from your desk for a moment. This fuels you literally. So definitely a good idea. I am somewhat into crosswords this summer, so taking some time to work on a crossword puzzle can be good. I go through cycles with puzzles, so it could be like Sudoku, anything, as long as you are actually keeping it quick and not like spending your entire workday working on crosswords. That's exactly what we're talking about. Also, playing a favorite song. This is something I do a lot. If you're like, I just need to like shift this mood, or like I do this at the start of my day a lot. Be like, okay, I am playing my favorite song to start this day off. And the last appetizer I had was deep breathing. And so this isn't necessarily like meditation because that's going to be in another section of the menu. But the idea is like taking a moment, taking a breather, relaxing, not getting too worked up, that sort of thing. So those are all the appetizers I had. But again, the idea is like quick activities. You can do them in the middle of your workday and it'll be fine. The next section is the mains, like the main course or the entree section. And these are dopamine activities that are a little more time consuming. You probably can't do them in the middle of your workday unless it's like on your lunch. These are for like after work, before work, on the weekends, that sort of thing. But the same idea. If you're someone who's like, I spend every weekend just doom scrolling on TikTok, come up with your dopamine menu, and this is the category where you're going to be picking your weekend activities from. So the ones that came to mind for me were exercise, and this could be anything, whether it's a walk or a yoga class or a run or playing a sport, anything. Obviously gives you a lot of dopamine, so that's great. Filming a TikTok video, but I think any kind of creativity can be great. Journaling, we know that we all love journaling here at our Golden 20s, so that's definitely another good one. Really working on any hobby, whatever it is. I know some people who got into knitting over the summer, or there was like a couple years ago, people were very into like adult coloring books and all those sorts of things. If it's like you love D&D or Lego, this would fit into that category. Having a conversation with reading. I'm a big reader, so reading's one of those. Meditation. So this is similar to the deep breathing, but something more like dedicated or guided. This would be in this mains category. Having a nice bath or a shower. And you can really like lean into the dopamine in this. If it's like you are like really setting up your bath and you have a candle and you have a glass of wine, whatever it is. Similarly, getting like dressed up, putting on nice makeup and an outfit and really like doing your best. For me, doing my hair is one of these things. And the last thing I thought of is doing like an organization or like a purge of an area of your house, whether it's like your closet or your kitchen or something like that, can definitely be in this category as well. The next section of your dopamine menu is called the sides. And these are things you can do simultaneously to make boring tasks more stimulating. So these, again, I do a lot when I'm working. I kind of love doing boring tasks now because of all of these that I've implemented. So the first thing is podcasts, which maybe you are doing this right now. You could be working and listening to this podcast. If so, thank you. I hope we are giving you the dopamine hit you were looking for. I listen to so many different podcasts while I'm doing like boring work, from interviews to stories to history, all kinds. Similarly, music, it really depends on my mood, what I'm into, whether it's like podcasts or music and what kind of music. And it also depends on what kind of work it is. Sometimes it has to be instrumental. Sometimes it can just be like Taylor Swift. So it really depends on your working style. This year, I also got into audiobooks, which has been awesome. So I've been listening to so many audiobooks while doing work. I just listened to Julia Fox's, which was so, so good. A lot of the classics. I'm currently listening to Eat, Pray, Love. I listened to like an hour of it today while working. So that's also great. I love it because not only are you getting dopamine, but I'm also feeling like extra productive because I'm getting my work tasks done, but then I'm also working towards my goal of how many books I want to read and that sort of thing. So it's like, just makes me feel so good, so happy. I think another thing you can do is call a friend. And I know lots of people do this, like if they're exercising or like going for a walk, they'll call a friend, that sort of thing. Even if it's like, I'm cleaning out my closet, this is not giving me the dopamine I need, I'm going to call a friend, chat to them while I do it. And the last thing that came to mind was like solitaire. And this is, I think, if you have to like watch something and you're easily distracted, sometimes it can be good to be like doing something with your hands. Even like if you're listening to an audiobook and getting distracted, something like solitaire could really help give you that dopamine and keep you focused on the task you're actually trying to do. The next category is desserts. And these are things that are good in moderation. So we've already talked about social media. Going on social media isn't evil. It's not bad. You deserve to go on social media. If you've had a hard day, like, yeah, get on TikTok. Let's start scrolling. But this is in the category where it's like, it's good in moderation. So come up with the plan. How long do you want to be on social media? And what are the steps you're going to take to follow your own boundaries? So we've talked about this in other episodes, but there are apps that will make you wait 5 seconds before you go on social media. This can really help if you're someone who automatically goes on social without even thinking. There are also built-in apps in your iPhone that will turn off social media at certain times or only let you use them for a certain amount of hours a day, something like that. So definitely tools out there, but social media is not evil. You can use it if you want to. It's just, something that's good in moderation. Similarly, texting, obviously it's great to be in contact with your friends. That's a super important part of, socializing and that sort of thing, but you can definitely overtext. I feel like we've all been there as well. So this falls into the dessert category. Same with watching TV and movies. I love my movies. I love my TV. But again, it's very easy rabbit hole to fall down. Getting a lot of dopamine from that TV, you need to be mindful of how much TV and movies you're watching. Same with playing video games. Obviously, this again can be social, so it's not automatically bad or automatically good. It's just something to keep in mind, especially if you're playing video games by yourself. Video games, I find, for me personally, are so easy to just spend hours on. They're made to be addictive, I feel like, with the music and everything. So, definitely in the dessert category because it's great. It's a great way to sort of turn your brain off and do something fun, but just be mindful of how much time you're spending on it. Also, online shopping. I know lots of us love a good online shop. Nothing wrong with it. It's just something to keep in moderation. Then the last category on your dopamine menu would be specials. And this is my favorite category. The idea is these are special activities that might be, once in a while you get to do them. They might be more expensive. They might be less convenient. They might require more planning. And these are the ones I see on social media a lot, which makes sense because they're the most, glamorous. You want to talk about them. But I think it's important to balance out the everyday making a cup of tea dopamine with some of these specials. So the first one that came to mind for me was travel. I know that this would be on Sadie's as well. This really fills my cup. It inspires me. It makes me very happy. I love traveling. So this is definitely something on my dopamine menu and something I try to prioritize in my life, something I try to do pretty frequently in my life. Same with concerts. I love concerts. I can't get enough. I love live music. And this could be anything like live theater, seeing a comedy show, whatever. I love it. Definitely gives you dopamine. But again, you can probably sense these are a little more expensive, probably take a little more planning. Not something that every time you're having a bad day at work, you're like, you know what? I'm going to hop on a plane. Or maybe it is. And I love that for you. And please tell me how you got that life. But I think for most of us, is not quite the life we lead. Something that's a little more realistic, but still not an everyday, would be going out to dinner or going out to grab drinks or something like that. Something a little more elevated, special. You get to go out, if it's with a friend or your partner, you get to get dressed up. That can be great. And I just think in general, treating yourself could be in the specials category. And that could mean anything to you. Today I got a massage, which was awesome. So it's any kind of that self-care like that. It could be doing like an expensive yoga class. It could be getting your nails done, getting a facial, all these sorts of things. I just, again, find with social media, people really push how frequently you need to be doing these. There's no set rule. Have them on your dopamine menu. And then when you feel like, oh, I need a little something, take a look and pick something from this category. So those are all the categories of your dopamine menu. I do want to say that it's okay if when you're thinking about your menu and maybe you're journaling it out and coming up with ideas, or maybe you're putting it together in Canva or something like that, it's okay to tweak your menu. If you think about it like a restaurant, restaurants are constantly changing their menu. They're changing their ingredients. They're figuring out what's working, what's not. There might be things that sound like they would be really nice. And then when you try them, you're like, nope, I hate it. I know lots of girls hate getting their nails done. They're like, it's sensory overload. Like that would not be giving you the dopamine hit that you're trying to get. So take it off the menu if it's not working. Whereas for some people, you might be like, cleaning gives me dopamine. I could have a different cleaning task in each one of these categories on my menu and life would be good. So it really is, a choose your own adventure. Every single person's going to be different, something to keep in mind. And the other thing I wanted to say was to try and keep ingredients on hand. It's one thing to be like, I would love to have a cup of tea when I'm working, but that means you have to have like tea in your house, a kettle, and a clean mug there for you to make your tea. So again, something to keep in mind. Some of these are more expensive than others, so that means you have to prioritize it. If you really, really love traveling and this is something you're like, I need this on my dopamine menu, I need to figure out how to do it more. It's like, okay, we need to come up with a plan. We need to budget, come up with all of that. But I think that that's everything I'm going to talk about this week. I wanted to keep it short because if you've been listening, Sadie's helping her sister move this week. I'm moving this week, so it's like just very chaotic over here. I feel like in the next couple of weeks, we will be back to normal, back sorted together, having normal, long episodes, but we didn't want to leave you hanging for 1 week. I wanted to come and talk all about dopamine menus, and just because it's been something I've been like thinking about a little bit because it's come up on social media so much. So I hope it's okay that this one's a little shorter and that it's just me for this week. We also have a lot of just like cool social media stuff that I'm planning. So I'm excited for that. So definitely make sure you follow us on social media. We're at our Golden 20s on all the social platforms. You can also follow us and subscribe to us on whatever platform you're using to listen to us this week. We put out a new episode every Tuesday, so that lets you know when those new episodes drop. We also have a Patreon page, which is the best way to show your support for the podcast for as little as $2 a month. And we put all of the ads, not the ads, all of the episodes up there ad-free. And I think that's everything for this week. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next Tuesday.